lot of things come to our mind when we hear the word Kashmir. The beautiful mountains, the serene Dal Lake, and the gruesome conflict. But one thing that does not come to our mind is how all of this came into being. There are two versions of the story of how Kashmir came into being. One rooted in geology and the other in mythology. Geologists believe that Kashmir was a body of water and the area was frequented by earthquakes. Once there was such a devastating earthquake that it broke open the mountain wall at Baramulla, draining all the water out. However, the mythology is centered around a saint or a rishi called Kashmir. There are various versions of the story in different communities, and in this video we'll be looking at all these threads, all these different threads and what ties them together. According to the Hindu mythology, Kashmir Valley was a body of water on which goddess Parvati sailed on her pleasure boat. And in her honor, it was called Satisar. And in this lake, there lived a demon called Jaldev. His patron was Brahma. Jaldev destroyed everything that was on its shores. Once, Kashyap, the grandson of Brahma, found his way to Satisar and was very distressed on seeing the havoc caused by Jaldev. He fought him for 1,000 years, but Jaldev eluded him and hid underwater. Then Vishnu came to help and he struck his trident at the mountain wall in Baramulla and drained all the water out. However, Jaldev hid himself deep near Haripur. The gods looked for him with moon in one hand and the sun in another, but still could not find him. Finally, goddess Parvati dropped a mountain on his head, crushing his life out, and the mountain came to be known as Haripur.
So in the series of how Kashmir came into being as we know it, we'll be talking about the Buddhist leg of the story. So even according to this legend, this land, Kashmir that we know today, was a huge water body, a lake, Water Lok, and the Buddhist legend says that it was home to a dragon, a very huge dragon. And there was a Buddhist monk who used to meditate on the banks of this lake. He meditated for hundreds and hundreds of years. Ultimately, the dragon was very impressed with his hard work and with his dedication. The dragon presented itself to the monk and asked the monk for his blessings. The monk said that it will readily give the dragon his blessings, but it wants the dragon to grant him a wish. And the wish was a small piece of land to sit in the middle of the lake. Now, the dragon, granting the monk his wish, he wagged its tail and dried a piece of land in the middle of the lake. The monk sat on this piece of land, and the legend says that the monk kept expanding and growing in size. It grew so much in size that ultimately a valley of oval but irregular shape came into being, and this is the valley of Kashmir that we know today.
As explained earlier, there is a fascinating plurality in the narrations that surround the origin of the Kashmir Valley. While the Hindu mythological version talks about Kashyap Rishi's battle that raged for 1,000 years, the Buddhist version talks about the impressive meditation of a monk Majantika. The Muslim version of the story goes as such. It is popularly believed that Prophet Suleiman was going through the valley of Kashmir, and which was steeped in water back then. He decided to set his throne on top of a hill near Dal Lake, which came to be known as Takht-e Suleimani, or the throne of Suleiman. He ordered his jinn, which was an Afrit by the name of Kashu, which many believe to be a reference made to the Kashyap Rishi, and asked him to fight a demon that resided in the Dal Lake, and also asked him to create a passageway in the hills of Baramulla for the water to drain out. It is interesting to note here how each version of the story, be it Hindu, Muslim or Buddhist, has so much in common. Like how each one talks about a single individual, either a devout rishi or a powerful jinn or a pious monk who was instrumental in draining the water from the valley and bringing forth a landmass in between the mountains. Two of the accounts talk about a passageway that was magically sliced open through a mountain in Baramulla. Each story talks of a powerful entity, a demon, that had to be vanquished. Probably to make the story fun and exciting for the kids to whom it was being narrated back then. There is also a reference made to a hillock which was thrown upon a demon and came to be known as Hari Parvat, or on top of which the throne of Prophet Suleiman was set, which came to be known as Takht-e Suleimani, and possibly also the landmass that was created for the monk by the wagging of the tail of the dragon. Irrespective of which story one subscribes to, whether or not they're just children's tales like the ones from the Arabian Nights, there is something magical about this land and its origin that attracted so many historiographers like Kalana, Abul Fazl and Yun Sam to write extensively their enamored accounts of the valley.